With this being the 9th entry in the Ys series, does Adol's latest journey bring anything new to the table? And why does everyone look like they're going to a Halloween party? I'm Anthony from the Beta Network, and let us investigate these matters in today's episode of Should You Play Ys 9 Monstrum Nox? Stepping back into the shoes of Adol, the adventurer, Ys 9 starts off the journey strong and has our protagonist gunning it out of a prison known as Balduke. He then comes across a mysterious woman known as Aprilis, who quickly shoots him dead. The end. No, she shoots him with some type of energy that transforms him into a Hot Topic fanboy called a Monstrum. Adol is suddenly thrust into another reality where he's forced to fight alongside a team of other Monstrums on certain nights, whilst also figuring out the mysteries and happenings in the place of his imprisonment, Balduke. There are some extra side plots going and motivations that I won't spoil, but overall, the story and characters are pretty solid. Nothing spectacular, but they all get the job done. I would have liked to have seen some extra depth and characterization from the cast though, as some of the party members definitely got the short end of the stick. And since this game is on the shorter side of regular RPGs, clocking in at around 25 hours for the main story, I feel as if there could have been additional moments of character building and development. I did like the dynamics of the group though, but I found it a bit difficult to become emotionally attached to them. Because of this, when some of the more intense scenes happened, I just felt more apathetic than anything else. What's also lacking is that there are literally 0 anime cutscenes. What's up with that? As for the in-game counterparts, you could still see some leftover PS2 jank in the animations. Characters will swivel on the spot, or just straight up glitch in between animations mid-cutscene. You've also got that awkward fade to black dissolve thing that happens when something cool is supposed to be happening. But how am I supposed to know that if I can't see it? If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the post notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. Each subscription really helps to grow our channel, meaning we can bring out more videos like this each and every week. Cheers, lads. On a more positive note, one aspect that's actually handled incredibly well in regards to the story is how almost all the quests, including the optional ones, relate to the main plot. As you go through the story, the game will quite literally block off your progress with walls that need to be removed, making you complete some extra quests. It's like the game saying, "Nup, sorry mate, you're going way too fast. Time for side quests." No, but seriously, these quests are actually great examples of excellent gameplay story integration, due to the fact that most of them directly tie in to the plot or events related to the main cast. And they're not just all boring fetch quests either. Because let's be real, how often do RPGs go, "Hey, go fetch me 5 potato chips and I'll give you this gigantic sword. Also, I'm a character with no relevance whatsoever. See ya." Now, for those who are new to the Ys series, these games are mostly played as action-based RPGs that involve your standard attack combos, dodge rolls, managing items, magic, and over-the-top anime powers, of course. So in Ys 9, you'll fight with 3 of the available 6 party members, with each character containing 4 skill slots they can readily swap out in battle, and use a distinctive ability uniquely granted to them. These abilities, or gifts as the game calls them, are completely new to the series too, adding a modern touch to combat, as well as streamlining and expanding player exploration around the world map. Mind you, a few of the environments aren't that easy on the eyes, coming across as quite bland and empty looking, which again, does make it seem like something you'd see from a PS2 RPG. That being said, the gifts do help break up the usual running around environments and statically walking into monsters like past titles in this series have suffered from. The best part is that these gifts are shared amongst the party, opening up a surprisingly vast amount of traversal options. For example, the main protagonist's gift is Crimson Line, which lets you hookshot over to a fixed point at breakneck speed, or quickly close in and strike an enemy from a distance. One of the other abilities lets you run up walls and discover a treasure that's normally out of a normal jump's reach, which is very cool. Another ability lets you see things hidden to the naked eye and view enemies, objects, and hidden paths through walls. Yeah, it's definitely Persona 5 now. As I was saying before, since the Ys series leans more on the action side of things, it incentivizes you to go all out with your skill attacks, whilst also letting you decide which of the maximum 4 skill moves you'll bring into battle. Since your MP meter recharges when fighting, this takes the stress out of constantly needing to refill and manage your MP. The only meter you need to focus on is your health and the boost gauge, which grants you stat buffs and a limit break attack. Also, if you dodge or guard an enemy's attack at the perfect time, you'll either gain a short burst of pace and invincibility, or fill up your boost gauge and make all your attacks critical hits. All these aspects allow you to go all out on the battlefield and fully focus on what's directly in front of you. This can be a lot in some cases. A lot. Especially on those nights in the other reality where you have to fight waves of enemies whilst protecting a crystal. Man, these battles can be outright brutal, and sometimes not in a good way. It's basically a tower defense game where enemies can spawn from either in front or behind you, so you'll have to grab their attention before they start making a beeline for the crystal. But the frustrating part is, sometimes they just don't want to fight you, and then they'll just focus purely on the crystal, and then they'll break it, and then you'll be really mad because you just wasted 5 minutes button mashing all those other enemies to death. Oh boy, fun. Look, it honestly is really fun when it actually works, but when it doesn't, just have a spare controller on hand. That's all I'm gonna say about that. The bosses, however, this is where I had the most fun in battle. I love dancing around their attacks, figuring out their patterns, and studying their movements. Really great stuff here. The designs themselves are definitely on point too. There are some damage sponge bosses that take way too long to take down, but they are few and far between. Boss battles are where the combat mechanics truly shine. Now, of course, you can't talk about a Ys game without talking about the music. And before you ask, yes, you already know it's great. This OST really elevates this game in my opinion, especially with some of those battle tracks. Those guitar melodies are legit insane. Whoever was jamming on the electric was clearly having the time of their life. So, should you play Ys 9 Monstrum Nox? I'd say yes. The fighting mechanics are crafted very well, even though they can come across a little button mashy at times. The story and characters themselves just hit the mark, though I would have liked to have seen more depth and characterization from my time spent with the party. But the music and dungeon exploration definitely helped make up for this. Overall, Ys 9 is a solid experience and has a heap of things going for it, but at the end of the day, it can seem a little rough around the edges. Guys, if you enjoyed this vid, click that like button down below. And as always, if you haven't yet done so, press subscribe and the bell icon next to it so you won't miss an upload. For more on Ys 9, visit thebetanetwork.net to read our written review and check out our podcast called Games We Played That for some silly antics from the TBN team. See you guys in the next video.